Are people born wicked? Or do they have wickedness thrust upon them?
Woo! We are wicked, and yes, we are green. If you're watching this on YouTube, I've completely painted my face green in honor of Wicked. Welcome to the Late Learner Podcast, where here we are ditching the outdated norms, you know, the ones we are all taught to live in. And what we do is we find more modern solutions that just plain work better for you. I'm Allison Hare, your host. I am so excited to be here. And I'll tell you, what are we late learning today? Well, here's what's going to happen. You are going to be ready to run through a wall, a brick wall, by the end of this show. Because if you haven't seen the movie Wicked yet, or even if you have, you will buy tickets by the end of this because you will not want to miss this. And so the reason why I'm doing this episode, first of all, I have been changed. Like, honestly, I didn't know any movie could literally make you a different person or make you more the real person of who you really are. Maybe I'm secretly green. I don't know. But what I also know is that I'm not alone. And I want to break down what has happened and what, like, some of the behind the scenes stuff. I've gone through such a ridiculous deep dive. Thankful for my ADHD or whatever, that I can kind of scratch that itch and kind of obsess over something for a little while until I can get it out of my system. But I really wanted to talk more about the relevance and the deeper meaning of it all, because the way this came out and the timing could not be more important and more moving. And the deeper meaning of it all is, you know, my hope is that we are going to all walk away defying gravity. And so I'm going to kind of start with the ending, actually. And not really any spoilers. I mean, I personally did not know the story at all. I didn't know the songs. I didn't know the music. I didn't know the story. I just knew that it was a prequel to The Wizard of Oz, an interesting, unique story about the Wicked Witch of the West. But that is all I knew. I love Ariana Grande and was just interested. There was so much buzz about it. And from a Broadway perspective, I know I said I was going to start with the end. I may be all over the place, but don't worry. I've got an outline to help keep me on track. But when you go to a show, and I almost forgot because I have not been to a Broadway show in a long, long time. I grew up in New Jersey, so I used to go to a lot of Broadway shows when I was younger, and I moved to Atlanta in 2000. So it wasn't as accessible. Wicked came out in 2003 on Broadway with Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth as the main leads. And so I have not found myself watching musicals or Broadway shows as much. And I remember, I know this is kind of interesting because I feel like this Wicked, what has happened, I'll start with the end. When I walked out of the movie, I was doubled over. I could not contain myself. I was undone, just sobbing. But it wasn't just me. The whole theater was. And everyone was looking at each other like, what just happened? Like, they were hugging each other. It was almost as if I didn't even know what was so moving and what was so profound and so overwhelming and overpowering that nobody really knew why we were crying. But we all were. It was so moving. And so I remember Broadway, that I used to be obsessed with Phantom of the Opera. I've seen it in Atlanta. I've seen it multiple times in New York. I've seen it in London. It's so funny how that show had just closed on Broadway and how badly it is dated. There's so much kind of, I don't know if it is like kind of rapey, but after the Me Too movement, it really, really took a hit and really didn't age very well. My mother was actually an opera singer. She didn't go to college. She went to Europe to train her voice. And so I have a family of kind of latent musicians, people that have never really done it professionally, but have some aptitude, but never polished that diamond. But my mom loved musicals. She loved theater. It was so important for her, for us to love culture and to be part of culture. And so I was reminded with how big Broadway is. Broadway now is a little bit different. I mean, it's so inaccessible. The prices are so high and the theaters are small. So the chance to go see a show like Wicked, it's harder. It really is a lot harder than it was. It's not as accessible as it used to be. But I remember being in the theater, even if it is Les Mis and Hamilton and all of these big shows, they always start with massive, like a big opening, big music right out of the gates, right in the tension. Movies always start in the middle of the drama now. You may remember many, many years ago when you had Steven Spielberg movies and Close Encounters of the Third Kind would start where they're kind of going all the way to the beginning of the story. And they would go to people speaking in a language that wasn't English, a language that I couldn't understand, in another country where they were like excavating or digging something up. So you had no idea where it was, and the story would just build from there. Now, in order to keep people's attention, you have to be right at the height of the drama to kind of capture people's attention right away. So it did the same thing with Wicked. Like visually, this movie was so immersive. The sound, the design of the sets and the costumes were so big. Everything was just so big. And there was tension throughout the whole thing. And it's amazing how captivating. It was a 3-hour movie. I mean, it was long. At some point I was like, wow, is this worth 3 hours? But then when it closes up, you realize how much you forget about it. It's almost like having a child, like childbirth. You forget how painful it is once you have the baby. And then all of a sudden it was a beautiful experience. And that was kind of the same thing with Wicked. It was very spellbinding. And I think for me, I've always had a really rich interior life. And the reason why I am kind of profiling, I don't know if it's a review, but it really is more of a commentary and a cultural commentary around Wicked, is I have a weekly blog that I write and an email that I send out. If you're not on it, go to AllisonHair.com/email. I send out short, succinct mini stories with a point, and I always have PSs. And the PSs are like little footnotes of things that I find that kind of are almost like exploding candy in my mouth. But I always leave it as a footnote. And what I realize is that I have such a rich interior life where those little footnotes are actually complete explosions, like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, of just full of color, and that I don't really give much homage to. I make them into little footnotes to kind of keep it short and sweet. And I realized I need to unpack that a little bit more. And that's what I'm doing today. And I'm also going to be writing on Substack. So if you go to substack.AllisonHair.com, I'm going to be doing longer versions where they're going to be way more unfiltered with it. But back to Wicked, so spellbinding. There was a surprising emotional weight to the story. It was so big and layered, and can't stop thinking about it. I can't unhear what I heard. I can't unsee what I saw, and I can't unfeel what I felt there. And I don't think I'm the only one. I'm wearing green, for God's sakes. I literally felt like I was a different person 3 hours prior to that. So trying to think of what movies made me feel that way, where you just couldn't stop thinking about it. And the only one, I know that there were some, but I could think of The Notebook, where you couldn't stop thinking about it afterwards. Like it moved, it shifted something in you. And my God, for a movie to be able to do that, for a TV show, for a song, to do anything like that, God bless. That is what we want. We want to feel something. We want to be kind of shook out of autopilot and be made to think and be made to feel. And this movie had so much richness and deep layers that were really relevant and important, and a really important, profound commentary that even 21 years after it was released and Broadway, and it's still running on Broadway today, it has struck such a chord in our culture today. And I think there are a lot of reasons for that. There was such a release at the end of this movie. There was so much tension building throughout all of it, so many layers and layers of tension to have the end be such a big release. And again, like you're just sobbing from watching this movie. It really was incredible. So you imagine the original story of The Wizard of Oz had Dorothy, but Dorothy was not mentioned in this, where this was on the witches, right? So there was Glinda the Good Witch. You remember Glinda? And then the Wicked Witch of the West. And you remember Wicked Witch of the East, Dorothy's house fell on her, and her sister was the Wicked Witch of the West, of which Wicked is based off of. And there were so many things about this story, about the powers that the witch, the Wicked Witch of the West, her character's name is Elphaba. And so I want to start for a minute on the music. And the music of this, like I said, it started so big. It's all in the high drama. And the whole concept takes you on this journey of ups and downs. There are interwoven stories that are building the drama and releasing it. There's tension and drama and like epic experience with the music. And then it goes into more beautiful, more dream state. And it really is a fantasy from start to finish. And I think about witches in general, witches having spellbinding powers. Are they witches for good? Are they witches for evil? And even your personal feelings on witches. Some people feel like it is satanic or completely morally wrong. And some people feel like it's a natural gift. And so there are references to this gift that Elphaba has, these magical powers that she doesn't know how to harness. She doesn't know where they come from. They just are. And so it takes you on this journey of these ups and downs. But when I would see the interviews with Cynthia Erivo, who played Elphaba, and Ariana Grande, who played Glinda. But Elphaba, Cynthia Erivo, would talk about the bigness of how she would almost keep herself, like the build in the music. This is what's so fascinating about this. And I'll play little clips through this. I'm actually going to do the ending. There's a battle cry. There's a really famous battle cry, but there is a comparison between battle cries of all the Elphabas over the years that is so fascinating because it's such a release where Cynthia would talk about singing and she would talk about almost holding back or not being small, but like not being open. And she has such a powerful voice. I mean, she was in The Color Purple. She is a singer and just this magnificent big voice. And as you get to the end of Wicked, the music gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden it becomes so open. It becomes so expansive and so large. That it just completely envelops you. It's so immersive. It's so magnificent. I'm getting chills now. It's so open and free. And I keep thinking about freedom. I keep thinking about what does it feel like to be free, to feel free to be who you truly are and not worry about being judged for it. There's a song called Dancing Through Life. And so there is Ariana Grande, or Glinda's love interest. His name is Fiyero, played by Jonathan Bailey. And Jonathan Bailey was in Bridgerton. This particular scene was so glorious, was so big, so much dancing. The whole company it just is this magnificent thing that I think it took like 18-hour days to film over and over and over again. And Jonathan Bailey almost stole the show. It was just so magnificent of how this was portrayed. I think about Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. So let's talk about, they are some of the biggest voices out there. Like, I love Ariana Grande, and what I did not know is that she does not have a background in classical music at all. I mean, obviously we know her as a giant pop star, but she had to get trained for this. And so it was really important for her that her voice sound operatic, that her voice carries. like it does in a Broadway show, which I loved. And Cynthia was in the color purple and sang this song called I'm Here, which is like this intense, insane climb, just this beautiful, expansive voice where in order to do the big finale song is called Defying Gravity in Wicked, you need a big voice for that. And it was just amazing to see this. What we keep hearing behind the scenes is, and you'll see this if you see any of the press that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande have done, I can't tell if it's like sweet. I think it's adorable, actually. But they are like so touchy-feely with each other. They're crying in every single interview. They're so unbelievably emotional about Wicked, just doing press for this. And, you know, now that they have feedback, I'm sure it gets even more wild. But some of the clips of it are really kind of funny. And it made me think about Drew Barrymore. So I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, Drew Barrymore is always like so close. Like I imagine I personally would be super uncomfortable because Drew Barrymore gets right up in her guest's face. She's holding their hand. She's stroking them. She's so close. Like she gives people no personal space at all, where I'm like, that feels unhealthy to me. I don't know if it is that she just is so effusive and just wants to like drape herself on people physically, where it feels uncomfortable. And I think that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande also have a little bit of that. There's this finger touch interview that they did on I think it was Out magazine or something, where they are just holding each other's fingers and they're getting so emotional and choking up and like holding on to each other, where it seemed almost unnatural. But as I watch it, I think about these artists. And so I think about this a lot. I think most of the good artists like Taylor Swift and Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande and Pink and people that are deeply, deeply emotional, and their music is deeply, 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 it just cuts you deep, right? Like it just hits different. And it's something that stays with you. And I personally feel like I would bet Rachel Platten's like this too. I would bet that those artists that can reach people on such a profound level, there's no way that they haven't experienced the lowest of possible lows to be able to sing like that, to be able to write music like that. And so when I see Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I feel like they've been through some shit, right? I feel like they have been through it. So when I think about Ariana Grande, she has dated some of the most famous people on earth. And what is the guy that she dated? Not Macklemore, but something Mac, where he's a big rapper, like really troubled with drugs and all of that. I know that Ariana Grande has struggled with, you know, crippling anxiety and depression and antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds and all of that. And she has experienced deep heartbreak in her life. And I think when you're highly sensitive, when you're attuned, you're naturally feeling things deeper than most people have. But when you've experienced things so big like that, it allows you to relate to other people in a really massive way. And I feel like the two of them have achieved, experienced a real type of closeness that cannot be replicated. I mean, they are truly two of the biggest stars right now on the planet. And to hit a chord so deeply and feel that togetherness, there is some kind of a bond that I almost think it is sweet to witness, and really a reflection of the stories. So, you know, the story of Wicked is really about, it's not about witches, but it is about friendships, and it is about political corruption, and it is about gaining your power and your sovereignty. and finding your strength, finding your own voice. The connection in the movie, when they connect, they start out as mortal enemies. I have not seen the second act. So, just so you know, Wicked is like part one. It's act one, and act two will come out next year. So I don't even know what's going to happen. I'm going to try not to read ahead with it so I can be as surprised and delighted as I was the first time. There is a moment in the movie where they come together. When you think of Cynthia Erivo, she in real life is a Black, bald, queer woman from London. And so the thought of being othered is really big in her. And so to play this character of Elphaba, who is othered and is made fun of and is cast aside from everybody, but she knows her own worth. She knows her own strength. She doesn't try and hide who she is. She can't help but share how she feels and do the right thing. And so it is an interesting moment where you have the othered person, which is Elphaba, the witch, the wicked witch of the West. And then Glinda's character, who is perfect in every way. And honestly, kind of a boring character, right? Like Elphaba is so interesting and so layered. But then you have Glinda, who is everything has been given to her. She's great at everything. She's perfect. She's beautiful. People love her. She's popular. You may know that song, Popular. She is lovely. And so, of course, they don't get along. And of course, they are pit together. And that moment where they recognize each other, it's almost like a soul recognition. And it's so beautiful because it does not make sense. It's almost like, what is it? Like a deer trying to walk for the first time, where they both seem so awkward, but they both understand each other. And it's this incredible moment in Wicked in the movie that was just so magnificent at the dance, the Ozfest. And that moment makes me think about when you recognize each other and people that have been through some shit, people that understand you. I heard somewhere about friendships. I was listening to a podcast about friendships, and they were talking about how it's not, the best friends are not the people that you have fun adventures with. They're the people you go through some shit with. And the recognition of each other's souls is so profound, and so it just was so deeply touching. I just loved it. The connection in the movie was really amazing. So I'll skip over to the behind the scenes a little bit. So there's been all this drama off screen about Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater. So Ethan Slater is a Broadway star. I'm sure you've seen him. He played SpongeBob SquarePants on Broadway, and he's a much shorter guy. He's got red hair. He looks like the modern day Anthony Michael Hall. Like, he looks like a dork, and he's small, and he is in the movie playing that character, like a dorky, nerdy character that of course is falling all over Glinda, Ariana Grande. But in real life, he broke up with his wife and had a brand new baby. And then Ariana Grande broke up with her husband, and now they're together. And so, of course, the internet, I don't give a shit, right? But the internet is going crazy about homewrecker, and why would you leave your wife for her and all this stuff? But it is really weird to see the two of them together. To imagine, really? Okay. But behind the scenes, people say if you knew what happened, if you were there, you would understand why. It would make so much of sense. And it seems like they're very supportive of each other, and they're very complimentary of each other off screen too, in all the interviews. Bowen Yang, who is on Saturday Night Live, he is it right now. I don't know if you know, but he is so funny. He's got a podcast called The Culturistas. He's on SNL. He's in the biggest movie in the world right now. He is really having a moment, and he is also in Wicked, and he's so funny. He's improvising a lot of lines, and I wonder. It was very star-studded. It was very star-studded. The Wicked Witch of the West. So Elphaba's sister, her name is Nessa Rose. She uses a wheelchair. It's the first actress ever to play Nessa Rose that was actually disabled and was uses a chair in real life. So that was a huge victory as well, and super exciting to see. In this movie, you'll see there's so much richness. There's so much I have to say. This is probably a complete shit show of an episode, but I was just so excited. And if you have seen it and you feel the same way I do, you're probably happy. This probably makes a lot of sense to you. And if you haven't seen it, I hope that it gets you excited to see it, because I really do think it is life-changing. You do see a lot of cameos in this and a lot of homage to not only the Wizard of Oz, not only Frank L. Baum, not only the actress who plays the original witch, the Wicked Witch of the West. I can't remember her name, Margaret something, I think. But Idina Menzel, the original Elphaba, and Kristen Chenoweth, the original Glinda on Broadway, the opening stars, had cameos in it. And my God, their voices, unmistakable. Idina Menzel played Queen Elsa in Frozen. So she is literally a Disney queen. And I think she got her start on Rent. Unmistakable voice, so much power, so incredible. Michelle Yeoh is in it. John Chu is the director. He was the director of Crazy Rich Asians and a lot of incredible movies. And what I did not realize is that they built all of those sets from scratch. They weren't CGI. I mean, there was some little bits of CGI, but most of it was designed to truly be an immersive experience. Like, they have all of these tulips, and you'll see like these, it looks like rainbows of Skittles rainbows, on the grounds, but they literally planted 8 million tulips to create that for this movie, for the filming of it. So it's just really incredible. As a sidebar, both of them, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, look like they've lost a ton of weight. And I know I probably shouldn't be commenting on anybody's bodies now, and there is no shame in it. However, I think the commentary has been apparent to me, where it feels like these healthy size inclusion, it feels like Hollywood's getting back to that wafy, skinny, smaller, don't take up space. I mean, certainly with Ozempic and all the other weight loss drugs coming back into fashion, of people taking up less space, which kind of leads into the relevance of this movie. And so I think about, what does it mean to not take up space? And so this whole movie is based on making fun of somebody because she is different. In the movie, she's green. Look at me. But because she's different, people are othering her. What is it? Now, if you remember The Wizard of Oz, you remember when Dorothy found the wizard, he was a fraud. He did not have any magical powers, but he had a lot of big things, and people bowed down to him. And I think the cultural relevance is our political season. I mean, we have a president-elect now that is a known fraudster, a known huckster. He is a grifter. And Jeff Goldblum plays the wizard. And honestly, using this power to prop up your own platform, but may not necessarily be for the benefit of all those. And in this case, those in Oz. And so it just was a really interesting perspective to see how they try and silence Elphaba's voice, try and silence women, try and make women small, just be pretty, don't talk, don't push back. I want to do this on my own. And so there was some real cultural relevance there. And I think that's why this hits such a chord, especially for women, because I think there really is a threat of being silenced. In general, we are taught to people please. We are taught to be pretty. We are taught to only act a certain way, to not say too much, to not be too loud, to look a certain way to fit in, when who we really are might be something different and might be just as beautiful. Never really gets the air to come out and play, which kind of leads to back to the ending. And so the big song is Defying Gravity. I think the balance between Elphaba's character, where she was always grounded in who she is. She was othered and made fun of her entire life and cast out and hidden and ashamed. But she always felt grounded, and she needed to take flight. She needed to become light as she found her voice. Whereas Glinda is always light. She needed to find grounding. She needed to find who she was. And so I think it was an incredible way to depict how we all feel, that sometimes I think we have all of these things that make us so special, but we keep it hidden away because we're afraid of not fitting in. It's kind of weird. Like, I always feel like we all want to believe we are unique unicorns, and I think we actually are, but we want to stand out as long as we fit in.
Popular. I know about popular. Oh, I saved you some space, by the way.
Do you really think this is fair?
I do not. I was promised a private suite. But thanks for asking.
As long as we are accepted. And so it requires a lot of external validation. And I think about this Defying Gravity song. Like, I can't listen to it without being overcome with emotion. Like, I'm crying all the time. And when I saw it, and even at the end, you know, I'm crying, I'm completely undone. And I took my daughter, who is 9, and she's like, "Why are you crying? It says to be continued. Why are you crying?" What age do kids cry at things? Maybe they cry at, like, if an animal dies or something, but generally speaking, if it is kind of an emotional piece, kids don't cry, but there's a certain age where they start to. And I wonder where that is. I wonder if you brought your kids, did they cry or did they get emotional in it at all? But I think at the end, you're left with wonder. You're left with hope. You're left with fantasy. Like, I literally feel like my insides were moved in a way that feels so magnificent. And it feels like my head can be in the clouds. And again, it felt like that release. What does freedom feel like? Freedom to fly. And there's this line that Cynthia Erivo sings. I may be flying solo, but at least I'm flying free. And what does that mean? To defy gravity. So I want to end with this. This is so cool. So there is a comparison. So there is, at the end of Wicked, there is a battle cry. It's this very famous battle cry. So all of these women have done, and men too, have done this battle cry. So there are different variations. So I'm going to play a little bit for you. There's Cynthia Erivo. Leah Michelle. Oh. Laura Pick. Alyssa Fox. Stephanie Block. Carrie Ellis. Jessica Vosk. Caroline Bowman.
dictate voice. That's my life.
It's so good. All right, this episode of Wicked, I'm gonna close out on this. I think I just love it. I cannot stop listening to it. It's in my daughter's head now, which is super exciting. I would love for you to see this, and I want you to tell me about it. I would love for you to DM me, send a note to me, email me, send smoke signals. I want to hear how this movie made you feel, or this show made you feel, or if you have any history of it at all. I think it's time that we need to have grounding so we can be light. And that's where we end today. So I would love for you to get on my email list. You can go to AllisonHair.com/email and also share this. And the reason why I want you on my email list, because I will be announcing the new podcast name and brand and style and everything that's going to be happening very, very soon. And I want you to be the first to know. And let's talk privately. I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, for your ears, and subscribe. I'm so grateful for you. Oh,
something has changed within me.
She doesn't give a twig what anyone thinks.
Something is not the same. Of course she does.
Something bad is happening in Oz.
The best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy.
You have no real power.
That's why I need you.
Don't let her get away! This wicked witch.
Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid. It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.